Estamos começando mais uma Wikimetal Happy Hour com um convidado especialíssimo diretamente de Los Angeles, na Califórnia. Eu vou trazer aqui para nossa live, nossa Wikimetal Happy Hour, o sensacional Doug Aldrich from the Dead Daisies. Man, I'll shut up. I just want to hear you play, man. Just continue. Come on.
No, I had to. This is my quiet time to come to my studio and practice, and so I'm happy to talk to you during this time.
That's really nice, man. And you still, how is it your daily dynamics? You still practice, you still study, or you just pick the guitar and play whatever comes to mind?
I'm basically just playing for my mental health. Because this last year and a half, or the last year, has been juggling. It's like being at home this long. I'm doing renovations at my house, so I've got juggling that. I've got a lot of responsibility with the Dead Daisies for Holy Ground, and then being a dad. And so it's finding time to actually get together with my fiddle. It's important.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this is a really informal chat, and it's really like a happy hour. And I just wish that we were, together somewhere at a pub or somewhere and having this conversation. But at least we have other people that can watch it and send questions and whatever. Let me know how did you start playing guitar? How was the beginning?
In the very beginning, I was 11 years old. I really loved music. There was songs like "Smoke on the Water" on the radio. There was Black Sabbath's "Iron Man," and that was really cool. I wanted to hang out with these older guys, and they said, if you go buy the single of Iron Man, the 45, and you can join the club. So I went and got it even before I played guitar. But it was just like that sound with Ozzy doing that robot voice. It was just like, whoa. And then the riff, and then Hendrix was on there with Purple Haze and stuff. And so and then stuff like the Eagles and Allman Brothers. But then one summer I was at home and my little sister had a guitar and I just didn't have anything to do, so I picked it up and got a book and I learned how to play a D chord and an E chord and an A chord like this. And then little by little, it went into I got into like that. That's how I played it, So that's how it started. And it just every day, I mean, I was 11 and every day I just keep doing the same thing that I did when I was 11. I just keep loving the guitar playing,
And was the guitar that your immediate passion? Was you're always you wanted to be a guitarist from day one, or did you think of maybe become a singer or drummer or whatever?
Well, no, I definitely love the guitar. I was definitely intrigued when I'd see a guitar player. The instrument itself just looked so cool, and most of the guys, I didn't know what the guitars were, but I favored the Les Paul shape. I didn't know what it was called, and my buddy said, well, you could get a Fender. And I was like, I don't know, what a Fender, what's that, But eventually I was into, the first album I bought was Led Zeppelin 2. And I really was into Jimmy Page, and I loved Jeff Beck on Blow by Blow. He had that 54 Les Paul Oxblood. And so I wanted a Les Paul. And so I got a department store Les Paul that was really cheap. And like the frets were cut with a wire cutter, so you kind of like get your fingers all cut up. But eventually I got a Gold Top. I got a guitar very similar to this one. And I was just blown away. The first day I saw it, I was looking at the headstock going, does it really say Gibson on it? Whoa, it's a Les Paul, So it's
like the one my heroes have.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, now my heroes have all kinds of different guitars. So of course, like you have behind you, I have some behind me too, where it's like I want a Strat for this, or I want a Tele for that, or acoustics and everything. More.
Yeah, I love when I saw you guys playing live. You have the double neck Gibson, and it looks
Yeah.
just so cool, man. And I mean, I'm a huge Led Zeppelin fan as well, and it must feel so cool to be able to do what you're always inspired by these people, and now you are a guitar hero or a rock star. It must be so cool to do that, right?
Well, I mean, I feel totally thankful and blessed. I've been so lucky with my career. Just the people that I've gotten to work with, and even, I mean, now thinking about working with the Dead Daisies, with Glenn and Tommy and David, it's like it's a great lineup, and I'm super excited to get in. First of all, the most funnest part for me going on tour is rehearsal. Is that time when you basically don't have to travel. You basically just go and play all day long, and you can work out the kinks, so you can get your tone just right, and it's really it's an important and fun time for me.
Did you what would that 11-year-old kid, little Doug, would say if I could tell him that one day you'll be playing with Glenn Hughes in the same band, and jamming with all those legends? What would he say?
He would go, that can't happen. That's impossible. I didn't even think about stuff like that. I just really, I'm a very simple person. I just enjoy the process of playing guitar and finding my way, continuing to try and learn something, and then trying to recall things that I did learn that after a while you forget about. It's like, oh wow, that was a really cool thing I used to do. So I wouldn't have thought about it, to be honest. I would have been like, yeah, whatever. I wouldn't have believed it. But I mean, if you think about it, at that time I was listening to On Stage by Rainbow with Ronnie and Richie.
Wow.
And then the Burn record was out with David Coverdale, and I loved I loved both versions of Mistreated, Ronnie's and David's. They were both really cool. So yeah, it was just to think that I was going to play with those guys, with Glenn and David and Ronnie and Karabi and all these guys. I've been very lucky.
You've been lucky indeed, and you just mentioned like some of the greatest rock singers of all time. You played with Ronnie. Ronnie was a sweetheart, right? He was a really nice person, right?
Really friendly guy. With his fans especially, he really cared about his fans, and I learned a lot from Ronnie. Not just on the stage and recording and stuff, but like how to be respectful, to your fans, basically, because they're family. That's how it is.
That's fantastic lesson. I saw you also playing live with Whitesnake here in São Paulo. We interviewed you, and you always kept that attitude, because I remember you being so friendly and nice, treating everybody, in a very nice way. That's a lesson I suppose you learned from Ronnie, but you're also a really nice person. What do you remember of Brazil? You've been here. How many times have you been here?
Probably half dozen, something like that, maybe. Not sure, but I mean, I love Brazil. The people are amazing. I've got some dear friends in Sao Paulo and other parts of Brazil, Curitiba and Brazil City. Brazil. Do you call it just Brasilia? Sorry, Brasilia.
Brasilia, yeah.
And Porto Alegre. Yeah, we got to come there with some pretty good tours. We came with Judas Priest. We came with Aerosmith, and then the Dead Daisies came. But yeah, maybe it's only been in like total in the country of Brazil maybe 3 times, if I'm thinking, maybe 4. But a couple of times with Whitesnake, we played some great like Manaus. We played. I remember that one because I had to get my yellow fever shot to go to the Amazon. But I love it, man. Beautiful people.
But you need also a yellow fever shot to go to Australia, right?
I'm not sure. I've only been to Australia once, and I didn't have. Maybe that was the same year. I'm not sure.
And I mean, you only have it once, so you have to carry. If you carry your vaccine card or something, you get in there.
Yeah,
I'm just asking you that because you have a colleague in your band who's from Australia. The band is very multicultural, right? It's 2 Americans, one English, and one Australian. It's a very interesting group of people.
Yeah, I mean, Glenn is actually, kind of, I believe he's dual citizen, but at least he's living in Los Angeles now, so he's close. And Tommy Clefairos who's now rejoined the band. He's close, and David is kind of worldwide. He goes wherever something. He's got a place in Sydney, but he's also got a place in New York too. So he's all over the place.
Well, and he can fly. He's a pilot, so I suppose it's
Yeah.
easier for him to get around, right?
Yeah, with his business, he needs to be in New York a lot. So then once he's done with work, like I mean, normally he'd be in New York all the time, and then we would work for 6 months, and that's what we were doing. He would do his thing off and on, and we would play off and on for 7 months out of the year. But because of COVID, he's been probably doing more regular business than that stuff. But he we had a blast making Holy Ground, making the record, and we really got to bond together, live together. It was great. We've never done that before.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Holy Ground. You had a new producer working with you, Ben Gross. Was that the first time you worked with Ben and you recorded the album? There's a really cool footage of you guys recording the album in France. There's a making of the album on YouTube. I suggest everybody to go there and watch it. How was that? I mean, that studio looks like a dream.
It is. It was perfect. It's perfect for so many reasons because one, it was beautiful. It was secluded outside of Marseille in a town called Saint Remy, and the place had a bunch of bedrooms. So we all grabbed our own bedroom, and then we basically just lived together. We didn't go anywhere. We would just come down and have breakfast in the morning, go to the studio, come back, and then there were two chefs that would cook us a kick-ass dinner every night, like around 8 o'clock. And then we'd either go back to work or maybe try and do a little bit of work and then get some rest. And we were very focused, because there was nothing like no family around, no anything, no friends. Yeah, we really got really tight together and had a great time, laughed, and played a lot every day for 8 hours, something like that.
And how was the process of writing songs and recording? Do you guys bring the ideas to the studio, or when you go to start recording a new project, do you already have all the songs ready?
Okay, so this was a different Dead Daisies now, because when you change lead singers, that's a whole new thing, and we looked at it as an opportunity for a fresh start. So it was David and I had started writing a little bit. But then when I found out that Glenn was going to be involved and he was coming into the band, I called him and I said, "Is this for real?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, it's time for you and I to make some music together. We talked about it, but we need to do it now with the Dead Daisies." And so we immediately, I started thinking about things for Glenn to present to Glenn. And Glenn said, he goes, "I got a couple ideas already. I want to, bring to the band, see what you guys want to do." And I said, probably the best thing to do is just keep doing that. And we'll all convene together and break them down and pick the ones that we like the best. And that's pretty much what we did. It was a great process, but it was a little different because in the past, the Dead Daisies would sit down together, everybody with an acoustic guitar, and we would just start jamming, and see what happens. This was definitely like Glenn's got his vibe on it in a big way, and we have our David Lowy is the kind of the main sound of the guitar in terms of that classic straight ahead, kick you in the teeth sound that he's got. So and then me and Dean were doing our thing as well. So we kind of got a good blend of a new sound for the band, which is Glenn and the Daisies, and hopefully we would maintain Daisies fans and Glenn fans.
That's fantastic. I was going to ask you about Glenn because you played with Glenn before the Dead Daisies, right? You played maybe a tour or
Yeah.
You knew Glenn already, right?
Actually, yeah, that would be 4 times because we came to Brazil with that. It was 2015, and we were in Brazil on the summer of 2015 for about 3 weeks, or the winter, I guess it would be for you guys, but for summer for us, it was great. But yeah, so I had worked with Glenn. We've traveled together. When you go on the road with somebody, you absolutely get to know them, and we know each other very well like that because we're traveling on a bus, and we'd have a blast, man. We would the bus would pull up to the gig, the crew would be working on getting the show together, and then Glenn and I would usually go get a coffee or espresso and go shopping. And it was funny because he'd always be like, it didn't matter where we were. We did it in Brazil, we did it in Europe, whatever. He'd be like, Doug, those are the shoes for you right there. I'm like, oh, dude, I don't know if I can pull those shoes off. That's like, he goes, they're really, that's like the new trend. I go, I'm not ready for the new trend yet. But yeah, we had a good time. And I wanted to go back to your last question too, because you mentioned Ben Gross, and Ben really made with a band with new people coming in and stuff. Glenn and I knew each other, but he didn't know Dean and he didn't know David. He spent a lot of time talking to David, but Ben set up this environment for us to play and just experiment. And we could, if we got ideas, we could record right away. Ben really brought a lot to this, and it's for better or for worse, Ben is he's responsible. So you got to give him credit or blame. Either way.
No, total credit. We're in February, but I can say that this is one of the best albums of the year for sure. It's so cool. It's so good. Great songwriting, excellent sound, production. It's a perfect album, really. It's like if you're into the kind of music that I like, 70s or classic rock or all those kick-ass sounds, you love that album. And talking about Glenn, man, the guy is. Where did he come? Did he come from? From which planet that guy came from? Because I saw him live a year ago, or no, not a year ago, because nothing happened a year ago, but I think 2 years ago here in São Paulo, and he's in such a great shape. He can sing he's probably the best singer out of all the singers from his generation. Nobody can sing like him. And even though he went through so much in his life, how can he sing like that still?
Like you said, he's from another planet called Hughes. He's the planet Hughes, and he's a very spiritual cat, very obviously God-given, talented, and just an extremely intelligent person too. So he's constantly, channeling that special. However he's channeled into the universe is working, because he keeps coming up with fresh things and fresh storylines, and he is, of course, an amazing singer, and it's like he gets better and better, and his tone is sweeter and sweeter. There's a couple tracks on this album and a couple things he did that he hasn't really done before in singing in some lower registers that were really cool, and then he goes for the bark later. Aside from that, he's also like a ferocious bass player. He's like Entwistle, Jack Bruce, and Phil Lynott, and all these guys mixed in together. He's a lead bass player, but he can hold down a heavy groove. So he's definitely a freak of nature.
Fantastic, man. Well, Holy Ground, we're so lucky to have a band like the Dead Daisies around, and thank you so much for everything you've done. You're inspiration for all the rock fans and people that want to play guitar or bass. I hope there's so many 11-year-old kids that can get inspired by you. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and she's a huge rock fan, and I show her, these bands and stuff, and she really falls in love with it. Before I let you go, you have a guitar in your hand.
Yeah.
You have been talking enough. Play something, man.
All right. This is one of those songs I going back to remembering. It's a very mellow piece by Jeff Beck, but
Yeah! Mr. Doug Aldrich! One of the greatest guitar players in the fucking world, and one of the nicest people I know in rock and roll.
I deviated off of the song. It's called Goodbye Pork Pie Hat, but I got to the part and I go, I've forgotten how it goes, the next part. So I just went off into something else. But yeah, thank you for having me, Nando. It's always great to see you, and like really look forward to seeing you wherever, in Paris, in Sao Paulo, wherever we can.
Yeah, next time you're in Sao Paulo, I'll take you to drink the best coffee we have in the city here. There's a really nice coffee house, and I think Glenn and you will like it. I want to make sure I take you there. You really have a good time. And man, in the meanwhile, we'll have the Dead Daisies Holy Ground to get amused by and to listen to it while you have to stay at home and wait until this fucking thing ends.
Yeah, we'll get there, everybody. Just know that we love you. Obrigado, and we will see you as soon as possible. We'll get through this soon. This year, we'll get through it.
Yeah, that was Doug Aldrich from the Dead Daisies on the Wikimetal Happy Hour. Thank you so much, man. We love you.
Brother.
We love your band. Come back.
Thank you.
We'll be waiting.
All right, brother. See you guys.